Right this moment, there is a mad rush in America. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, dozens more. They're all betting on a radical new technology that will change the way we live. This is the future, says Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak. The Wall Street Journal agrees, calling it foundational, like the internet and electricity. Investors are paying close attention because the World Economic Forum projects this technology will soar 295,762% over the next 7 years alone. More than 5G, AI, and the Internet of Things combined. That's why companies like Walmart, Visa, Dole, FedEx, Ford, GM, JP Morgan, and Shell are also involved. And a recent report from UBS found 200 of the richest families on Earth, worth an average $1.2 billion, agreed this will fundamentally change the way we invest.
You can feel the electricity. It's almost like you felt in the 1990s with the internet.
In fact, in a story missed by the media, even Warren Buffett, famous for hating technology investments, has called this ingenious. And he's making a huge billion-dollar bet. If you've ever kicked yourself for missing out on history's biggest trends, like investing in Microsoft in the 80s, Amazon in the 90s, Apple in the 2000s, or even Bitcoin in 2010, this is it. A rare second chance. Because in today's special presentation, Wall Street legend Teeka Tiwari, the man who came to America with just $150 in his pockets and went on to correctly pick the last two investments of the decade, months, even years before the so-called experts, will finally reveal his best investment of the next decade. A breakthrough technology set to grow an astonishing 295,000%. In fact, Teeka has gone all in. In the last 2 years alone, he's invested millions of dollars, traveled to 14 countries, flown 300,000 miles, met with 4 different billionaires, all to get the inside track on what he calls Genesis technology.
Genesis is the one investment that will eclipse everything.
When Teeka Tiwari makes a new investment recommendation, people listen. In December 2015, for example, Teeka recommended NVIDIA. It went on to become the #1 stock of 2016.
Oh my God, the ads, huh? Sorry about that. Holy smokes.
Are you looking to step If you're a profitable trader and you're consistently making money,
Wow, there's so many ads, huh? So many ads. All right, hey, good morning. Jumbo, Ohio. Ni hao ma. Who's here? Who's alive? Who's alive? It's a Tuesday. Tuesdays are the worst days. Use an ad blocker? No, actually, I like it, Ron, because I like to see what people are doing. I'm a salesperson, so I love ads. I'm the kind of guy where the kid comes to the door, hey, I'm trying to sell you something to raise money for my football team. Tell me all about it. Why should I care about your football team? And they're like, whoa, you're supposed to just give me money. Nah, hit me with it, son. What's the pitch? Hit me hard. Give me the whole thing. What's the spiel? How's your coach? You like your coach? Would you rather have a different coach? So anyways, good morning, everybody. Want to get on with it? Let's start with this. Why don't you type in the number one currency pair you want me to cover, or commodity, or whatever. What's the number one thing you want me to cover today? And I'll read it as we run the B-roll. So without further ado, 3, 2, 1, hit it! Pooch. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. But please, stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. I'm telling you, I'm desperate. I want to go to Miami. I keep thinking every day, I'm like, I want to get together with you guys. We need to meet up somewhere. Where do I want to go? Well, I don't want to go all the way to like Hong Kong or something and get sick there and be 100 million miles away from home. So I'm like, it's got to be domestic. Where should we go? Oh, we should go to Miami. It's warm. I think it's warm anyways. I'll meet you in the Keys. Anyways, good morning. Sorry, I don't know. I felt casual this morning, so I just got sweatshirt on and stuff. I don't know why. And as soon as I looked in the mirror, I'm like, oh, big mistake. So anyways, St. Pete's not far enough south, but I know a great cigar bar. Casey, if you're out that way, right near the airport, I fly in, go to the cigar bar, fly out. Hong Kong's probably safer than Miami. Yeah, but it ain't warmer. Hong Kong's cold this time of year. Yeah, Maida says Key West is nice. Friends of mine stay on a private island just off of Key West. And they're like, it's really nice. I'm like, how much is it? And then my neighbors own an island off the coast of Florida. They own the whole island and the hotel and everything. And so I'm like, maybe I'll stay there. But anyways, good to see you. I'm tired today. I don't know why. I look like I'm 100 years older, right? I don't know what's going on today. Not enough sleep, too much sleep. I don't know. Too much complaining, maybe. So welcome to the show. This is called Forex.Today. This is a community of 17,000 foreign exchange traders. We're stationed around the world. And this is really good for us because we can synchronize our watches, align the satellites, and really share ideas and support each other. Sometimes we look at how to pull the trigger on a 1-minute chart. Sometimes we talk about the meaning of life. And somewhere in there is macroeconomics, fundamental analysis, monetary policy, fiscal policy, economic cycles, business cycles, real estate cycles, trader psychology, investment philosophy, right? Technical analysis, fundamental analysis, but also risk analysis, risk-adjusted return analysis, investor psychology, not just trader psychology. Holy smokes, there's so much to know. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the community. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank Traders Way for being part of our community. They would like an opportunity to earn your loyalty and respect like they've earned my loyalty and respect. So if you're a currency trader and you're looking for an execution partner, aka broker, please give tradersway.com an opportunity. Visit Traders Way, open up a demo account, give her a shot. The table's set. Let's fall in love. All right, a couple of things I want to talk about. I want to go over this. Oops, I got to move all this stuff over. Let me move this over there. Hang on, there's so much going on. So many windows. All right, cool. First thing I want to talk about is not Billy, but I want to talk about the OPEC meeting, the first monthly meeting of OPEC yesterday. We talked about that being an interesting scenario anyways. Okay. And they basically canceled the meeting because Russia came in and said something stupid. Of course, that's what you should do as far as game theory. So they're like, oh my God, Russia doesn't want to play nice. So they're like, forget it then. So they've pushed that off, and they'll probably... I think they're re-meeting today, and they're going to agree at some point on producing more oil. So the oil yesterday, oil declined, and then once the meeting was, canceled essentially, where everyone walked out, they pushed it for today. So oil went back up, and now if they actually make an announcement, then it'll probably come back down again. What we covered yesterday was simple day trading: where to buy, where to sell. Day trading doesn't really incorporate fundamentals, okay? But you'll see that fundamentals overwhelm technicals pretty quickly. So there's that. That's going on. What was it? A few months ago, I did a webinar on the FX Bootcamp YouTube channel called Off the Charts with Wayne McDonald, where we don't talk about technicals, we talk about other things. Typically, I rip apart a professional money manager for making way too much money doing hardly anything. Okay? But I think once this year, I said something nice about somebody. And it was Billy here. So I want to go over this trade, even though I went over the trade back in, I don't know, May or June or July or something like that. But that's the webinar where we get together and smoke cigars and drink wine or whiskey and talk shop. Has anyone attended one of those? No? Yeah, I haven't done them for a while. Mostly because it's not warm enough that time of day. So let's go over this trade. Okay. So he owns this big hedge fund called Pershing Square Capital Management. So Pershing has done some really big stupid bets. So he isn't, a golden child per se. He bet against Herbalife and a bunch of others and did really, really, really poorly. Okay? Which could be, he could be in the category of degenerate gambler, but remember, you're not a degenerate gambler when you're right. You're not a degenerate gambler when you're right, but when you lose money, you're a degenerate gambler. But anyway, so he's made some wild and crazy giant bets. And remember, by a bet in like this type of fund, that means tens of millions of millions of millions. Like He bet against it and then short sell more, short sell more, short sell more. Years and years and years of short selling while all the time losing. Okay? Oh, is that right, Libor? We did this back in September. Okay. Okay, so losing and losing money, throwing more money at losing trades. So I don't recommend that. Okay? But he did handle this year correctly. And for those that don't know, now you know, yo. Okay? So, let's see. Oh, a couple of things I wanted to point out here. Okay? This year he made 70% return in 2020. Now, we're talking about if you're doing 5% a month, you're probably going to get pretty close to the 70%. And most of you guys here say, well, that's pretty easy. In fact, that's quite conservative. I'm like, okay, let's compare that. You will get your own article written about you on Bloomberg if you return 70%. So they're saying that's pretty extraordinary, first of all. So if you're making 70% in a month, you're probably over leveraged. Okay? But I want to point that out. Like, this is amazing returns. So if your goal is to beat Bill Ackman, then that puts you in a league of your own, or you just might be way over leveraged, right? Good morning, Rolu. Okay. So anyways, so he's a billionaire. Isn't that nice? That's what a billionaire looks like. Cool. So in December, he did 4.6%. Okay? 4.6% in December alone. What they're saying is that's a huge return. Okay? So think about what they're saying, just like the language. We're trying to make 3 or 4 or 5% a month. That's our goal. And then what the professionals are saying, well, if you do that, that's amazing. Okay? So again, if you're doing more than that, you're probably over leveraged. Okay? Your lot sizes are too big relative to your account size. By making bigger bets, what you're doing is you're trying to cut out the power of time. But by doing that, you're increasing your risk. Okay? Oh, actually, that's interesting. Viral says, hey, can you teach me about trading coffee CFDs? No, but it's an interesting idea. Okay. I could do it on general macroeconomic fundamentals, but you would really need to know seasonality. You need to know the supply and demand, the supply chain. You'd probably need to know the growing economies. There would be a lot into that. Okay? But that'd be fascinating. And oddly enough, I did think about it probably on the weekend. So amazing. But I'm not going to do that. So sorry. But I can teach you how to do the work yourself. Because what we're doing, especially the macroeconomics course I'm going to start next week, you can apply that to the local economies, right, that rely heavily on the coffee trade, for example. That might help. But you still would have to analyze, right? Anyways, let's move on with this. Okay? So, in 2020, the performance was driven by a lucrative credit hedge. Okay? So he saw COVID coming. And he had to make a decision. And he says later in the article, he almost dumped his whole portfolio. But we talked about this several times, and I think even in the recent swing trading meeting that I did on Sunday, that nobody wants to dump their multi-billion-dollar portfolio. Okay? Not until there's missiles in the air. They might be talking talking war is not the same as doing war. Okay? So he thought about it. Corona looks bad, but it hadn't hit the United States yet. So instead of dumping a portfolio he spent billions building and a decade creating, instead he did a hedge. Okay? That would be like us buying the US dollar or buying the Japanese yen. Because, when you're already long carry trades, you see what I mean? So instead of dumping the carry trades, he took some money, and I think it was about $26 million, and hedged. He short sold. Okay? The credit part isn't it's just the vehicle, but the outcome is the same. He was long the stock market, billions and billions and billions of dollars. And then he's like, ooh, this Corona could be bad. So he used options and put down $26 million leverage, so 26 million times your leverage level. And he bet against the stock market, even though he was a buyer of the stock market. The bet paid off. He got $2.6 billion. Dumbass said, what? Yeah. He bet $26 million and got $2.6 billion. Nice. So anyways, now bear in mind, that's what it was supposed to do because he was hedging $2.6 billion worth of investments. So really, okay. But now he's got this $2.6 billion from the hedge. He cashed out. Then what did he do? He used the $2.6 billion and bet on the economy by rebuying his portfolio companies with the money, right? Buying the dip or investing in new things like Starbucks. Okay? Well, see, the thing is, though, Roger's like, it's only on the hedging, but the thing is, his portfolio would have lost the $2.6 billion in value. Now, he's not mark to market, but still, his portfolio did decline. But in this case, instead of losing paper money, he did lose paper money, but he also made real money. So at the end, he had $2.6 billion in cash, but his portfolio would have been down about $2.6 billion. But he had the cash this time. Instead of just having the value drop, he actually had cash. So now he took the cash and bought back in. And this is around March when I said you guys need to write down 3 or 4 or 5 companies that we said in the beginning of January, or the beginning of the COVID crisis, I said, write a list of 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 10 companies that you've always wanted to buy, but never bought because you couldn't afford it. Remember, I'm not talking about FOMO. What FOMO? I'm saying get ready. Create the list now, right? You guys remember? And then one particular day, I think it was in March, I said, today's it. This is the day. Those companies this was when you should be buying, when there's blood in the streets. And that's what Billy here, Ackman, was doing. Buying MGM Grand at $8. It's now $30, yo. So anyways, and he did well. Okay. And he personally made another $1 billion for himself. Ka-ching. Good job, Billy. Okay. Neat, right? So last year he made 50%. This year he made 70%. But don't worry, he's not a golden child. He's made plenty of dumb bets. But good, right? That is not a rotation. Rotation is going from a growth stock to a value stock. Rotation is going from U.S. equities to foreign equities. Okay. Okay. Hedging a position and then buying back in low to the same positions is not a rotation. It's just more of the same thing. Okay. So like I said, it might be that you're long a bunch of carry trades, but you're hedging for a while, you're short-term short while being long-term long. Okay. But anyways, guys, there's someone that did behave the proper way. He responded to the fear, not the fear, the analysis of an inevitable negative consequence on his portfolio, so he took care of it. Okay. Now, Daryl, he doesn't just click a button on his chart and it says hedge. Okay. He bought options that would have provided profit if the stock market fell. Think of it that way. So it's a separate bet. So in the United States, I can't be like, I'll pick pound. Okay. In the United States, I can't just sell this and buy this at the same time. Okay. But what can I do? Well, I could sell euro yen, or I'm short this, so to hedge this, I could buy euro yen. It's not the same thing, but they are highly inversely correlated, right? So you're going to a different trade to offset your current risk. Okay. By the way, how do you like my trade now? I'm short at 41 and we're at 39.40. So I'm over 100 pips. Okay. Isn't that nice? Perfecto. How many other people got similar type of trades? Did anyone else catch a risk-off trade between Sunday night? Notice I'm in right at the open. Anybody? Yeah? On took Daniel's USD CAD, huh? Yeah. Johnny took many. Yeah. Conrad for sure. Good. Yeah. Guy's like, yep, I was there. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, as long as you guys are doing it and doing your job and all that kind of stuff, or purposely backing away, Manna says you can't get the confluence. Okay, if the confluence isn't working, then one of your pivot point indicators isn't installed or it isn't installed correctly. All it is two different pivot points, right? So let me show you. Confluence. So I'll go to Confluence. It's monthly and weekly pivot points being drawn by two different pivot indicators. So I go to indicator list. And so I just have Wyatt installed twice. One is monthly, one is weekly. Okay. And if that was installed, where's my drawing tool? You would see that this is, hey, it's not working. Hang on, I have to cancel close my drawing tool, open my drawing tool. Let's try it now. No. Huh. Drawing tool won't work today. Odd. Let me see if I can get this work. Nope. All right, I'm drawing tool-less today. Why? I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Anyways, what I was trying to say is, what are the reasons for selling? How far in advance did I tell you I'd be short? I know you know it, but I have to do it. I'm coaching. You got to remember, I'm talking to your psyche, I'm talking to your subconscious half the time. How many weeks did I tell you that I'd be short this? Yeah. Manna says Sunday. Jim says months. Anybody else? Okay, great. So the first one is, this is a monthly sell, a sell pivot. I'll put it that way. Now next to that, it's also a weekly sell pivot. Okay. And on top of that, okay, it's a market open. So not only is it the exact right price, it's at the exact right time. Okay? And now what? Potentially a double top. And then, of course, on top of all of that, it's expected seasonality, right? Okay. So you put all that into there. That's what I thought. That's my thought process. Okay. So what do you think? Degenerate gambling? Keo says so many indicators. Well, actually, no, because I'm only looking at 2 lines on here. Okay? But, okay, so the first thing is that I quickly ignore all of that because I already know. I already put it together. Once I see it, I don't look at it anymore. Now you might be thinking more about the moving averages. But one of the things I talk about is once you've decided on strategy, you don't need strategic moving averages anymore. So you can start removing a lot of these things, right? Okay. So even on this 4-hour chart, now we're just left at, you could be short right about here. But of course, I wouldn't pull the trigger on a 4-hour. I would analyze on a 4-hour. So even a very conservative trade here with nothing but a 5-8 cross, the only indicator now, this would be the perfect sell. Oh, schnickerschnacker. That's where I sold. Very nice. Actually, I sold here. Quite. La, 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 la. Okay. And that would be outlined like this. Okay. Okay. Down, 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 up, up. 50% retracement into a psychological level of 141. Down, gone, done. Okay. FT9 says, if it wasn't for seasonality, I wouldn't have done this, right? That's correct. So here's the interesting thing for those that are not in my trading group. I did a special webinar. Let me remove this. I did a special webinar. Let's do shapes here. I did a special webinar when we were here. Okay? And I outlined the plan. That nothing on this chart says down, but I'm about to sell it. Called a webinar. Pulled everybody in. I'm like, we never meet Sundays, but we're going to meet Sunday so that you're ready, willing, and able. And that's that. Yeah, and Leo says, but isn't the overall direction up? Yeah, this is a counter trend trade. Okay? That I told you about 3 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago, 16 weeks ago. And then we did a special webinar. Everybody gather around. Okay? Now, I said there's probably, 9 different ways this could happen. And I don't know which one's going to happen. So you need to prepare. You need to think about it. You need to write it down. What kind of patterns do you look for when you're at a place you expect a reversal? Right? Right? We don't know how it's going to go down, but you know how to do your job. Again, think about it like the military analogy. You practice and practice and practice and practice. You kick down doors, you clear out rooms. Yeah, it's a building made out of plywood, and you're putting targets into paper. But you clear the room, you clear the room, you clear the room. Kick down the door, clear the room. Kick down the door. And you just do that for years and years and years. And then one day, they're like, hey, you're going into Ramallah. You're going to clear the whole city. Now, you don't know what's going to happen now. You don't know how it's going to go down, but you know how you've been trained, how to behave, how to react. But I bet you that first kicking down of a door is scary as heck, but you're prepared. Right? You're prepared. So again, you don't know how it's going to go down, but you know how to do your job. So in that meeting, I said, this could go this way, this could go that way, this could go the other way. I don't know. How would I know? Okay? But I know what my training has told me. I know what to look for, and I know how to adapt. And if plan A fails, I have contingency plan B and C. I don't know if there's a bad guy behind the door, but I know how to behave. Okay? And adjust and adapt. So here's one where it went up, okay? And then it came down. Cool. Lower low, lower high, chow, down, done. Off psych level, done. Okay? I have a less perfect trade going on too. If you want to see the less perfect trade, I think it is here. Less perfect. Okay? Okay, I think I did this. Oh, nope. Hang on. Well, first of all, let me clear this out. Let's go back to the confluence, I guess. Okay. So here's what I did. Must have been this one. Must have been this one. Okay. Okay. Time of day was important, so I guess maybe I got suckered in. So I was thinking this. You notice it's the same trade, 50% retracement, and then down, right? So how could I have handled this better? And I'm sure this is how you behave when you look at your past trades, right? You ask yourself such questions. How could I have handled this better? Well, there's a lovely, lovely trade higher up here. I could have been a little more patient. Now, it's difficult for me, though, because of my time of day. PF says, yeah, wait for the double top. Well, the thing is, you know there's a double top now. I didn't know there was a double top. The double top didn't occur for another 12 hours. Okay. Okay. I'm going to move my stop a little closer now. All right. So now I have to plan on something like this. Yeah, Casey's just like, yeah, the market didn't behave the way you thought, so move on to the next trade, right? Yeah. Some of you took the higher trades. Yeah, and the higher ones are better, especially the obviously like the pivot. I guess the way I looked at it at the time is other things were set up better. So that pound yen was perfect. So I'm like, I see the pound yen. This is okay. It's not bad. I'm in the zone. Remember, my permission is selling in here. So I'm in the zone. I'm okay. Right? That's the weekly and the monthly overlap. So I'm okay. It might go higher before it goes lower. But, right, so I just moved my stop to 30, right? But in my mind, what am I doing? I'm taking 2-to-1 risk reward. Okay? Of course, it wasn't actually that much. But in my thought process, I could have something like that. Or I could have something like this. One of the things I teach you is to have no fear of losses. I want you to think about this. Because you've probably tested a different philosophy. When I get knocked out of a trade, I want to take the loss when I'm flat out wrong. Can you think of another scenario when you get knocked out besides being flat out wrong in your thesis? How many people get stopped out because the spread widens? How many people get stopped out because news comes out? How many times do you get stopped out because you thought it'd go down today, but instead it went up? And volatility. Okay? I don't want those things to happen to me, generally speaking, because a lot of that, if not all of those things, are things I cannot control. But it means I'm focused way, way too much. I'm staring at the bark, not the forest. Okay? So I prefer to take a loss when I am 100% wrong. I don't want luck to be involved. Good luck, bad luck, whatever, I don't care. If I'm going to get knocked out, I want to be wrong. Flat out proven wrong. I want to be short Aussie dollar and have it go up 150 pips to say, no, dude, there ain't no profit-taking decline in Aussie dollar. You're wrong. I'm like, ooh. And now I can walk away saying I gave it a legitimate shot versus, trading with fear. You know? Now, you better have a pretty sophisticated, or at least pretty detailed or convincing investment thesis to begin with, huh? HK, I rarely exit because I'm mentally not involved with the trade anymore. Then if I'm not mentally involved with the trade anymore, it was probably a piss poor trading idea. I'm not committed. If I prepare you 16 weeks ahead of time that this is going to fall, then I sell it and I'm up 22 pips and now I'm down 22 pips, so I should panic and get out. Like, what the hell? What kind of plan was that? Were you double guessing yourself? Right? And I'm not saying you do that, HK. What I'm making the point is there is very little investment thesis there. Certainly nothing you could discuss 16 weeks in advance with a potential client. Right? So if I'm wrong, which is probable, right? There's always some probability of this being wrong, but the more research you have, the more conviction you have, and the more conviction that you have, the more likely you're going to take it. Okay? And being down 22 pips on this trade for a while doesn't bother me in the least. Hey, Adam. Good flying weather today? Blue skies. I mean, let's say yours is 100 pips away. Should you physically put the stop loss? Oh, yeah, hell yeah. No. HK, you always use stops. Always. 100% of the time. Which big news, Adam? Well, there you go. Congratulations. So Rookie says, by doing that, you need low leverage. Exactly. I wanted to make a point where Bill Ackman turned 26 million into 2.6 billion. And you're like, that's pretty good, right? Yeah. But you're leveraged more than him by a lot? Oh, what? Right? Holy smokes. You're using way more leverage than him? Okay, so I want you to temper everything, right? I want you to temper everything. Definitely you need to lower your leverage. Definitely. Because what you're doing by increasing your leverage is you're trying to cheat time. Who wins by cheating time? Has anyone ever won by cheating time? Yeah. It's a fool's errand. You want to make more money? Be consistent for longer periods of time. Yeah, the Grim Reaper's the only one. He waits though, right? Doesn't he also have a watch or something, doesn't he? Or is that more modern? He has the Reaper, but I think he also has like a pocket watch. It's just waiting. He's just waiting. Freed wants you to do USD-ZAR. Actually, I wanted to do Euro Rand, but we can do Dollar Rand. Because one of the things we talked about Sunday night, I put things together in a cog, right? And I said, so if this happens, dollar should be strong, yen should be strong, Swiss franc might be strong, right? Aussie dollar would come down, euro yen would come down, and I went through this whole thing. I'm like, Bitcoin will come down, right? Rand will go down. And I said, sorry, South Africa, it's not your fault, right? Remember that, guys? And you look at like exotics now. Look at this. You're welcome. Look at that. You have to put this in context. Here's the first day of trading, and I could prepare you 16 weeks in advance for this. Seriously, think about that. Okay? So let me change the chart, first of all, just to maybe it'll make more sense to others if I change this. Okay? This whole period, do you see? Down, down, down. Every day, every week, every month, I'm coaching you down, correct? Down, 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 down. I would only sell this. I would only sell this. I would only sell this. How many people would agree with that? Since, let's say, August. Since we returned to the market. Remember, the third week of August indicates what? Risk on. Risk on, risk on, risk on, risk on. How many people agree with that? Third week of August. We get back together. Risk on, 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 risk on. Risk on means I can only sell this. Over and over and over. Sell, 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 sell. Except when? Except for yesterday. Except for yesterday. It's risk off. Risk on, 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 risk on. Risk on, 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 risk on. Stop! Take profit at Christmas time. Now, how many people would agree with that? Profit taking by Christmas. Right? Stop your trading. Stop your trading. Take your profit. Take your profit. Because what? Because today, so I'll put this swing trading bullish bias. Except for this period right here. We're coming back to the market and we are no longer bears. For the short period of time. But on this day, right? Now let me do it with a different tool. On this day, on this hour, I'm only looking to buy or not sell. And here, I was practically begging you to take profit. Okay? Okay? And by the way, this is the day for the true out. Right? Do you remember that? The last Friday before Christmas? The 19th? That's my giant out day. That's your old man easing into a hot bath. But first of all, how many people truly knew that the 19th was the best out day we could hope for 2020? How many people did I reach by telling you, I don't know, 35, 40 times? How many people were there the whole year and you heard me say the 19th of December is the best you could possibly hope for? Well, and what we did is we went back. You're right. There's 16th in there somewhere, but we went back and looked, right? We went back and looked and found it was the 19th 2 or 3 years ago when I said, get ready to do this whole thing, right? But it's the point, okay? It's the point that this is the most important thing. Then, so I want you to recognize now that there's clearly something going on here that I recognize and I've been teaching you. How much did I miss in the period between the giant out and the giant counter trend? How much was missed in those 2 weeks? Did you miss a lot as a trader if you had been conservative? Oh. Look at this. I'll just put, there's the same price. Yeah. But look at this. Up, 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 up. No. Size. Okay? Look at all the false idols in there, right? And then we said, on this day, here, I can't quite see it. I guess it's here. On this day, so now I got to move this over, okay? On this day, we should look for the opposite. Holy smokes, huh? Alejandro says, now tell me when to get back in. Dude, no. That's your job. Okay? I can tell you, the train's coming, 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 but you're going to have to get off the tracks yourself, right? So, yeah, good question. Give me $1 million, I'll tell you. Okay? But can I get credit for that? Can I take credit now for being right? Can I get some bragging rights? Okay? On the 3rd week of August, you should be getting in to the sell side. By the end of December, you should take profit. And by the 1st week of January, you should expect a giant counter trend. There it is, folks. Time-based targets, not price-based. Time. You're right all the time. I am not right all the time. I am teaching you something so you can improve your trading results. I want you to be filthy stinking rich. Well, how do you get filthy stinking rich? You create massive amounts of value. Okay? 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 Yeah. So isn't that cool, though, that I could even call a special webinar and say, everybody gather around, something special is about to happen? You don't want to be the 4th wise man, right? Like, wait, what? What? The 4th wise man, right? Showed up late, went to the wrong manger. You're like, what? What's going on? And everyone's also like, see, I told you that star was special. That meant something. You're like, but there's so many stars. Which star do I look at? How about that giant blazing one that's right above us? That one. Did you bring your myrrh? No, I left my myrrh at home. Oh, geez. Here, take some of my frankincense and see if they're still around. The angels already packed up and left, buddy. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, a few people are discussing seasonality in the chat. Here's the thing. you're a farmer. When do you plant seeds? So it depends on what side of the planet you're on. So in Saskatchewan, you are probably planting in late April, early May, all the while bitching about too much rain, not enough rain, or bitching that there's still snow on the ground, or there's giant puddles, right, of water because the snow melt. There wasn't enough snow last year. There was too much snow last year, and it's all Ottawa's fault. Okay, that's how you become a planter of seed in the spring if you live in Saskatchewan. Okay, but which one of those things will you be bitching about this spring? Too much snow, not enough snow during the winter, too much runoff, not enough moisture, it was too dry, it was too cold. Which one are you going to bitch about this year? Which one are you going to bitch about next year? By the way, farmers love bitching about the weather and politicians. This is what farmers do. Half of it's bitching about politics, the other half is bitching about weather. So which one are you going to bitch about this year, next year, the year after? Don't know. But you do know, right? You do know that somewhere around late April, early May, you really need to be planting seeds. And then in the summer, is it going to be hot? Is it going to be too hot? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be too cold? Is it going to be rainy? Is it going to be too rainy? Is it only going to rain on the wrong days? Is it going to flood? Is it going to be a drought? Are there going to be bugs? Well, probably a combination of all of these things will happen. But on what day will it rain? Well, it rains more in this month typically than that month. Or it used to rain in July, but now it rains in August because the weather patterns are changing. Okay. But do you understand, the variables are constantly changing, but how to farm, how to grow and harvest wheat is generally the same strategies. There's a certain time when you should till your field. A multi-year strategy is you have 4 fields and you only use 3 at any one time and you rotate the 4th one by not farming. I'm pretty sure the government will even pay you to not plant the 4th one. So you're rotating your fields. Okay, great. When do you harvest? No, generally September or October. Okay? Do you see that? Well, what other variables could come in? What yield will you have at the end of the year? Well, it really depends on what happened in the summer. Did you lose your crops during drought? Some years you will. What about flooding? Some years you will. What about tornadoes? Some years you will lose all of these things. Well, you have insurance. Then when you get to harvest, you know generally when, probably late September, early October. Okay, great. What tools do you use? Well, that's a good time to use a combine. Okay, great. So you need your combines out there. And you harvest. And at the end of it, you don't know how many pips you will have. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know how to farm. But how much money do you make at the end of the year as a farmer? You don't actually know. You know how to farm. But Mother Nature will determine the ultimate yield that you have. And by the way, if everyone does well, the prices fall. When nobody does well, prices rise. So at the end, you probably make about the same anyways. So I'm teaching you how to plant, what tools to use to harvest, what decisions you need to make if there are too many grasshoppers. Do you use Roundup? How much Roundup? Okay. What are good combines? Do you use John Deere? Do you use cheap Chinese? Right? There's all these decisions. But ultimately, you need to walk out in the field, touch the top of the stalks of your wheat, listen to the wind, smell the air, and make decisions. Touch the soil. Look at the soil. I think I'm going to need to fertilize. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Wang. Nothing runs like a deer. Okay. Do you see? I don't know what's going to happen this year. But I think I have prepared you for planting and for harvest. And I believe as we went through all these things, we talked about trader psychology, macroeconomics, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, what's going on in South Africa. The economy sucks. Yeah, but that's not why the rand is going up. All these different things, like all these components. Think about it. Think about it. Do some analysis. Do some research. Think about it. Watch something. Make a decision. Have an investment thesis. Have a philosophy. Trade with a bias based on your research and the decision you made from the research, right? All of this stuff I'm pushing you forward because you're going to be a great trader. You're going to be one of the best traders that there ever has been. They're going to write books about you, right? Beautiful women are going to name their children after you because they admire you. Okay. Cool, right? We'll look at more mediocrity. So I'm short euro dollar. Let's put it on the same template, confluence. I'm short euro dollar. Great. So I'm short here. How did I do? This one was a tricky monster. Tricky monster. This one was a tricky one. Okay, because it opened hot and I don't remember how I did this one. It must have been, I threw down an OCO. I limited in. Because I know I wasn't awake for the London Open. That's a London Open, right? So London Open double top. And I said 16 weeks ago this is going to fall. So that's what I did. So now I'm, right, my investment thesis has to be, wait, that didn't drop. Let me do this again. And what am I doing? Talk to me, Goose. Yeah, I wanted this. No? There we go. Okay. So that's the game I'm in now. I need to adjust my stop. Okay. Now, how could I have done this better? Oh, added another one? That's not what I'm trying to show you here. I'm not teaching you how to build a portfolio. I'm teaching you how to plan ahead. So again, we met here live in a group Sunday at 6 p.m. Get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready. There might be a giant fall. There might be a giant fall. There might be a giant fall. What is plan A? What's plan B? How will you know you're right? How will you know you're wrong? When will your entry be in? What's your plan A? What's your plan B? How long are we going to be short? Are we going to be long-term short or short-term short? All this stuff. We had giant conversations. Okay? There's today or yesterday, and now there's today. So that's where we had the conversation. Okay? You know what? Let's do it this way. So, right? So I'm short here now. Let's change this color so it stands out like the other one. Triangle properties. We'll make this crimson. Where's crimson? Firebrick. I like firebrick too. Where's crimson? Got to go with Harvard crimson. Okay. There's that. That's where I'm short. What's the next opportunity? Because remember, there's no right or wrong. It's just where you make the decision and enter the trade. So the second one would be here, right? I'm off here. Man, it won't let me draw. Come on, MT4. There you go. There's the second one, correct? This is the pivot we actually discussed on Sunday. 122.87. So I sold at 122.95. So what did I do? How did I actually make a decision? I said if it double tops near 123, I want to be short. So I'll put my entry just below 123.00 because I want to make sure I'm in. Manus, this is not a confidence in dollar trade. This is a profit-taking trade. This is a counter-trend trade based on human emotion. This may go nowhere, guys. Don't think that just because I'm in these trades, it has to go down here. I'm in these trades because I think there's reasonable probability that that could happen. But I'm long-term long this pair, not long-term short. So don't follow me trying to figure out what I'm doing, because then you're not adding any value. You're worthless as a trader if you're doing what I'm doing because I'm doing it. Then you have no value, and there's just a matter of time for you to lose all your money. You see that? So I made these decisions weeks in advance, and now I'm doing them. I know, right? Of course. But I also know that I want to be long-term long this, not short-term short. So I have a whole different attitude about what's happening as well. Okay? You have to understand that. See, I understand what I know because I've thought about it in great, great, great detail. Okay? Okay? So if it works out, I'll do all right. I'm like Bill Ackman. I don't know if that's appropriate, but where I see downward potential, but I'm an upward investor. So what am I going to do about it? I don't know if it will fall. Do you understand that? I don't know if it will fall, but I think I think it could. I think it could very well do it, but I'm long-term long. So I have to address my concerns. I see risk increasing to my long-only portfolio, so I'm hedging. Okay? So Manna says, so you'll take... You know what? Just join the group, dude, because I've covered all these things live yesterday. Where I'll take profit, okay? Why I'll take profit, how much profit I'm looking for, how much loss I'm willing to accept, all that kind of stuff. Okay? And this is very early in the game. I'm prepared to not make any money. So there's 3 trades open, right? So I'm up 150 pips. Okay, barely a day's wage, pip-wise. You work 9 to 7? Yeah, but you can watch all the videos. Yep. Cool. So, yeah. Let's do another one. I want to do Biddy. Okay. Wowzer. There's your FOMO, people. Can you imagine buying it here? Can you imagine just... So luckily, whoever bought it late in the game obviously had stops jammed at break even, hero or zero. They got it. But how'd you like to pay $33,000 and 6 hours later it's worth $28,000? Oh, it's got to be painful, right? How do you overcome it? I think I might write a new book. I thought about it today, but here's the problem. I don't know if I want to do all the work. Ugh. But I'm thinking of writing some sort of investor psychology book. Ozonia says, I have a good strategy, but I'm struggling with my psychology. How do you overcome that? I think I might write a book on that exact topic. On my first book, I actually interviewed a ghostwriter. Yeah. So I thought about it. But I don't know. So I'm going to knock out a macroeconomics course, and then maybe I'll write a book. Ronald, technically, the answer to that is yes, it's over. But actually, I haven't logged in and shut it down. Ronald, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because I was up late watching zombie movies with my son. School is starting on Thursday, I think it is. So we're trying to we're halfway through The Walking Dead. And the interesting thing about that is I'm like, hey, you know that town we go to all the time? It's called Sonoy, by the way. I'm like, every time we go there since you were a child, I'm like, this is like from The Walking Dead. They used to go on parades, like march in the parades and stuff at Christmas time in Woodbury, if you know The Walking Dead. So all of a sudden, when we're watching The Walking Dead, he's like, oh my God, that's Sonoy. I've been in that restaurant. That's the ice cream shop, right? That's the bicycle shop, right? I'm like, oh my God, they spent their childhood in Woodbury, right? Memorial Day, Christmases, all this kind of stuff, right? My daughter, when she was a tiny itty bitty, was in her leotards and spinning a baton, walking in the parade. It was so cute, all these little tiny itty bitty girls doing baton, and then she was in dance and whatever. So it's in their childhood. All of a sudden, like, see, I told you. Now we're watching it in The Walking Dead. I'm like, see, I told you this is cool, right? Like, you've been in this Woodbury your whole life. And they're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, and over there's the wall. right? That's Alexandria. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay. So we got to that. So now they arrived in Alexandria, Virginia, behind the wall. And of course, it's still in the same little town. And so I just took my kids, my wife and kids. We went to the front gate. I'm like, there it is. I told you for the last 10 years. I've been telling you. Here it is. There's the town. And we've seen, now he's watching those episodes, right? So anyways, so I've been super busy watching all the episodes of The Walking Dead with my son. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ronald, no, I haven't actually taken down the offer. Pete's buying it back, right? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because it's getting like Coinbase dropped it. So it's interesting. I hope you're right and you nail it. How many pips do I risk per trade? Like I showed you, I started with, on these ones, I think 150 pips. Typically, like if so in the day trading course, we talk a lot about 33.99 OCO. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So here's an interesting one. Okay. This failed yesterday, but it was still, you still could have made money, right? So we said down here is a buy because you're buying low. It went up for a few hours, then came down, went up for a few hours. But note in here what actually happened. Is there two L's in canceled? Cancelled. It doesn't look right, but anyways, you get the point. So that's what happened there. Okay. Yeah, Forex. That we have, right? Forex Squala says, hey, the world is seeking more risk. Yeah, that's why I have the outlook I made back in late April, early May. I've already made my declaration, and it's based on that psychology. But that happened, my declaration is sort of before the world got on that clue train. But yeah. Okay. So now you expect Aussie, CAD, and Kiwi to continue? Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, I've clearly addressed all of that fundamentally. Yeah. It's just logic. So anyway, so that's what killed this move yesterday. Technically, this was a good buy, and it took you probably from New York Open to London Close for you to get knocked out. Cool. So now what? Well, the London boys come into their office in Mayfair with their dirty chai tea lattes. Do you guys remember? How many people remember the dirty chai tea latte? The London boys walking in their office holding their dirty Thai tea latte. I said it smelled like a Christmas potpourri basket. Tasted like cinnamon and candy canes. Does anyone remember that from yesterday? No? Well, my attempt was to anchor the lesson. Okay? It's part of neuro-linguistic programming. Have you ever just been walking through a field, a park, let's say you're walking through a park, and all of a sudden you just catch a smell on the breeze and you stop and you're like, that reminds me of when I was a little girl in China. Now that's actually one of the funniest things. I say that a lot. Okay? I say that a lot. Like literally, oh, that reminds me of when I was a little girl in China. I don't know why I say it, but it's a repeating joke in my family. It's just the most bizarre thing. But yeah, I'm trying to anchor these lessons with visuals, with even a smell. Okay? I'm trying to connect lessons with different parts of your brain. Sometimes I'll say something where you can visualize. How many people saw a picture when I said that you're walking through a park and right? And you catch a scent on the breeze. Do you actually see yourself in a park all of a sudden? And you see yourself stopping and sniffing the air and going, oh, that reminds me of when I was a little girl in China, right? There's visual images that we can catch. And then there's scents, there's sounds. Like a coo of a dove. Okay? What I'm trying to do is attach these lessons to these other sensories so that you can remember them. CJ was walking through a Chinese park. Cool. Pete says he still has an open order to buy at 12, but I don't think it'll execute on most platforms. You're not allowed to buy it in most platforms right now. So that's why I'm wondering you're buying it, but I always buy things when I know someone else is going to follow up and buy above me and push it higher. But if you like literally can't buy it, then I'm not sure how it'll go up. But anyways. So in this situation, here's the London boys walking into their offices in Mayfair. I'm repeating what I said yesterday. With their dirty chai tea lattes, and they're looking for the trade of the day. Quite right. Quite right. And they say, oh, it's low. Right? So they bought it. Huh. Good for them. What time of day do we trade oil? We covered it yesterday. We covered it last week. We covered it 3 weeks ago. We covered it 5 weeks ago. I did a special video recording and named it How to Trade Oil. And 1400 is right there. Okay. Is that right? I can't see it. Anyways, so you want to buy a dip around that time of day. Can't quite see it. I'm trying to get this right, guys. Sorry. 1400. So you need to buy a dip. And the price here says 48. It's actually $48.02. Okay. 48. So you know the exact hour that you should be at your charts RWA. You know the exact time to be RWA, ready, willing, and able. And based on the tools you use, you want to buy at $48.02. Well, it came down to $47.95, just enough to fill your order. You're welcome. Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah, so the book. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a book called No FOMO. That's it. Trader Psychology, how to remove all fear. And I thought about it, and I mentioned, I guess, my swing trading group that I might talk to a friend of mine at Harvard who is in the military, and his background is such that I can't even talk about it. Like, he asked me to fill out paperwork saying that I won't talk about what he did. Like, I'm not joking. I got paperwork that says because of what he does, I can't talk about it. Okay, so that means, okay, he's not your average grunt. And he told me, like, he did a speech, in fact, and it was in a public speaking class that we did, part of our master's degree. And he's like, they removed my fear. He says, I don't have it. I don't have fear anymore. And I thought, yeah, Mr. Voss. So I thought about it. I'm like, I should probably talk to him. And then I realized there's a lot of people I met at Harvard that that address different types of fears, but all around different ideas of fears. So I know someone that buys and sells hotels for a living and develops hotels. So he'll even buy the land. But it's not him personally. He works for a very large corporation, and he does the analysis and makes the decision. Buy this one, don't buy that one. Develop this one, don't develop that one. I thought, well, so how does he handle the uncertainty and the big decision of pulling the trigger on a project that will take 5 years to develop and millions and millions and millions of dollars? And then, of course, he's doing it 20, 30, 40 times a year. So how do you handle that? Then, then I thought, what about my professor that not only teaches real estate, but is a very powerful person in the multifamily investment community. So he owns apartment buildings. How does he handle the uncertainty and how do the fear of missing out and booming markets and busting markets, and how do you make these decisions? And then another friend of mine from Harvard was a professional baseball player in the big leagues, right? He was the youngest pitcher on the Canadian Olympic team ever. So how do you handle fear? How do you handle risk? How do you, and I'm like, I met a lot of people that would be very interesting, right? So how does a professional athlete manage fear and risk? And how can we apply those lessons as traders? I think it might be an interesting book, huh? I thought I'd bring in my, so not only my real estate professor, but how about my venture capitalist? All right, he does private equity classes and venture capital classes, and he's an investor himself. How, as a venture capitalist or as a private equity leverage buyout investor, how do they deal with uncertainty and risk? How many people think this is a good idea? Pull out lessons learned from all these different investment or different industries, really, right? Right? How do special forces deal with fear? How do professional athletes deal with fear? How do professional investors deal with fear? In real estate, commercial real estate, multifamily real estate, in private equity and venture capital. And then, of course, I can talk about my stuff, right? Yeah, that's the thing, though, Miranda, right? How long would it take me? So that's the question. I don't know, and I don't know if I want to commit that much time and effort. But I might do it anyways, and I might make it a short and sweet book instead of 300 pages. My last one took me a year. I wonder if I could knock one out in 3 months. Yeah, and with a podcast and all that kind of stuff, I think it could be very interesting anyways. Because I think we'll find out when I do my book club and my programmer I'm so mad at. But anyways, when we get that together, I think we're going to find out a lot of these books that are 500 and 600 and 700 pages long, they don't need to be. If you can't say it in under 200 pages, then maybe you don't know what you're saying, right? So anyways. What do you think, guys? Should I dedicate 100 days and do a book called No FOMO? Yeah, Jim says they only have 50 pages of real stuff, and yeah. 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 So maybe I think I'll head outside after this webinar and think about who I know that I could put in there. Thinking about all my California friends. It's funny, like half my California friends have become multi-millionaires, and we were all just kids hanging out together. All we wanted to do was change the world, and now more than half of them are multi-millionaires, very, very successful in their industries. And I'm just thinking, how would they address the issue of fear? Because I do want to keep the fear factor focused on investing and uncertainty in investing, right? But I've always been interested in how does a professional athlete handle the stresses of being a professional athlete? How many people here are baseball fans? Like, you know baseball. You're like, I don't know much, but I know baseball. Nobody? Nobody, right? A few? So, like, my buddy was a pitcher for the Cleveland Indians for years and years and years. I know someone else that was what was he? He was a catcher, I think, for the Washington Nationals. So I can think of two professional athletes. Like the fear of being in a moment, but what about like injury? Because obviously, once you retire, it's because of injury. How did they deal with the fear after? So yeah, so I can think of at least two professional baseball players that pitched in big league games. Be interesting to get their perspective, and they're from different eras too. Hey, being a professional baseball player in the 90s is not the same as being a professional baseball player 5 years ago, right? So anyways. Cool. All right, so yeah. So I think we nailed a few things today. I hope it works out, guys. I hope this works out. I hope you start gathering what I teach. Collecting and holding. We do this every day, huh? Make sure you thank Trader's Way. Make sure you open up at least a demo account, guys. I think these webinars are providing a lot of value. A lot of value. Make sure you pay it back. Tradersway.com. They should get a flood of demo accounts today, huh? So thank you for being part of the community. Subscribe, like, leave comments. Leave comments. Leave comments. Would you leave a comment on the video? The recording will be available in about 30 seconds after I click end stream. So I think all you have to do is refresh 30 seconds later, refresh your page, and now the recording is available for you to leave comments on. Document something. What did you learn? Remember, this is an exercise. What are you taking away? I know you could just say, oh, that was good, and I learned a few things, and then you go back to your regular life, and almost everything disappears. In 6 weeks from now, everything we talked about today potentially, almost certainly, will be forgotten. You will remember absolutely nothing except the things you document. So if you take the time and say, well, I learned about this, this, and this, then at least now you're doing the next step of neuro-linguistic programming, and you're doing your darndest to try to remember. Okay? You document it so that you can say to yourself, please remember. And if you have that type of attitude where you are intending to remember, you just might do it. But if you just lurk, if you just watch these videos like you watch Netflix, I don't know. But, some people remember who came in third place on The Bachelorette in season 5. You're like, that was Cindy K. So maybe lurking is a form of learning, but I think it takes a lot longer that way. Okay? I think it takes a lot longer if you're trying to learn this through osmosis, where you just kind of watch and nod and kind of chuckle and years and years and years go by. I think you need to focus with intent. Imagine you knew that in 3 weeks you're going to be sent to Ramallah and clear a city by kicking down doors, one door at a time. I think you get pretty serious about practicing kicking down doors. Okay? So what shifted? The training would be exactly the same. The fact that you're going into active combat in a matter of 21 days would change your attitude. Okay? So, wouldn't the giant shift then be simply you changing your attitude? If you shifted like this is the most important thing ever, okay? And don't make it generalized. Don't generally try. Specifically try. For example, I'm looking at oil, WTI, OPEC meeting, daily long bullish buy zone, and 2 market opens that say up. Right? And these blue lines are telling me the trend is generally up. So I have about 7 things that tell me to buy here. And this must have been the 20th time in the last 60 webinars that I've covered oil very specifically. Why don't you grasp onto this like you're floating out at sea and someone just threw you a lifeline? Grab on. Grab on. And study this and master this. This might be the one thing you do in 2021. You understand that? That if you did this one thing every day in 2021, then by December 31st, you could possibly be the best there is. In fact, you're better than the best. Best believe you're the baddest. Okay? That's Confucius, by the way. Confucius says, you're better than the best. Best believe you're the baddest. Confucius, look it up. Okay. Yep, postponed another one, Aggie. It's interesting how it all set up beautifully. Cool. There's always a reason. Okay? There's always a reason. And by the way, about noon yesterday, CNBC was saying, oh my God, the Dow's down 700 points. The biggest losses in months. It's because there's an increase in COVID cases. And some other reason. And isn't it funny? Like I said, there's always a reason, and it always gets reported, and it almost never is true. There are people out there, there are professionals out there that don't see the train while they're walking on the tracks. Yes, COVID-19 is dangerous, but that's not why the stock market came down. That's just why the media told you the stock market came down. But you have to ask yourself, are you doing your own research? Are you analyzing the fundamental reports released by central banks and other governmental institutions? Or are you letting journalist majors that work for Bloomberg and CNBC make investment decisions for you? A journalist major. You're going to cover the Forex desk. What's Forex? Read a couple of books and just start writing. I'm not joking. I've seen them on the producer's desk. A stack of books on Forex. Here, you're covering Forex. Read a bunch of books and now start doing the coverage. Okay? Okay? Interesting, right? No. You need to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones. You need to produce the value. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May our profits be above average. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for the feedback on the book.